Sullivan. I'm a former IRS agent and teaching instructor with the Internal Revenue Service. Welcome to my YouTube station. It's the home of the 5-minute or less video. I have about 6,500 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I try to give you information you need. I don't really try to sell you. I don't have to sell myself. I've been doing this work since 1973. I'm a national expert in IRS resolution matters. If you want to see my whole team and all my interviews I've been on, I'm on the national news a lot. You can see me at 777irs.com. That's 37irs.com. You can see me at Coat and Tie on all my major news interviews that I have been on. I do these videos so you don't get ripped off. Number two, a lot of them are just public service stuff, and I'd like to educate you. There's a bunch of scam artists in the spaces of offers and compromise. Matter of fact, I will tell you how bad it is that there isn't a week that I don't get 10 to 15 calls of people that have been ripped off by companies who promised they could get a debt settlement and they weren't even eligible for the offer and compromise. As a former revenue officer, I taught that program at IRS. I was a teaching instructor. I'd go to the Atlanta Service Center and educate other revenue officers into a whole bunch of things, not just the offer and compromise. So whatever I tell you is pretty much going to be the gospel and going to be gold. And like I said, I have a whole team of former IRS agents that we all kind of do the same thing. So I just kind of divvy my work out to whoever of an expertise you have. But let me tell you about the offer, how to get started out on the right foot, and kind of a couple of check mark lists for an offer and compromise. You're rarely going to speak to somebody like me or listen to a video of someone like me, because there's very few people. I don't know of one person who actually worked the offer and compromise program at IRS who actually used to accept offers and denied offers and compromise. So I'm just going to go over the basics. I have a ton of videos out there on other material that you probably are going to need to know. First of all, you should know about YouTubers. YouTube is a person who's either going to do this by themselves, which is good for you and you can on certain cases, or you're looking to hire someone. You're going to be one of those two. Sometimes one becomes the other when they find out the project that they want. But here's a good checklist for you. So as an agent, before I get a case, you have to know what the process is. The initiating person looking at the case will make sure two things is very obvious. A, all your tax returns are filed, and two, you're current and up to date with estimate tax payments or withholding. IRS wants nothing to do with the taxpayer doesn't have all their returns filed, and if you're self-employed, don't have estimate payments. Let's talk about estimate payments and what you need to do. Estimate payments, in short, just simply means you're self-employed and you got to make quarterly payments. I suggest my clients make monthly payments. You just go into IRS portal and make your I'm getting over the flu, payment right there. So let's get past the fact that you filed all your returns and you've made your estimate tax payments. Number two is, are the forms filled out correctly? Now you're going to say, that's kind of really stupid. What am I listening to you knowing that? Because if it's not, if there isn't a check mark checked right, or if it's in the wrong space, IRS, guess what? Sends the form back to you. IRS is not interested in any form that's not complete, because the offer and compromise is a legal agreement between you and the government, especially the 656 form. It's illegal. So what I would suggest you do is have someone look over the paperwork to make sure that it makes sense. It said, God, why should I'm telling you, because it's just going to set your offer and compromise back that much further. The third thing I want to turn my attention to is three is, do you have a cover letter? Most people don't tell you about cover letters. I'm a huge proponent of it. Why? I work the offer and compromise. Why am I a huge proponent? Because every day I'd look offers and review them. One was the same as the other. Oh, this one's different. Here's a name. Here's the assets. How do you separate yourself? Write a page and a half cover letter laying out why you can't pay the liability. Make the case real to the person who is looking at your case so they know why you can't pay it. Why did it happen? It sets a tone for the revenue officer or settlement officer to go ahead and say, I understand the situation. With that, you can put exhibits. You can put pictures. I've had offers accepted because I've put pictures of damages of hurricanes. I also have x-rays attached to people that have broken their arms and wrists. You do that to create a realism. This tip is magnificent to you and you don't even know how big it is. Fourthly, you want to make sure your offer and compromise, your 433A or B, absolutely makes sense. I used to get these forms and I'm trying to make sense of a financial statement and a person has negative $3,600 a month income on there. That ain't going to work for more than 2 months. It's certainly good to manage your bills back and forth, but at the end of the day, your financial statement must make sense. Lastly, is more important than anything, is if you're submitting an offer, IRS has what's called national standard expenses. If you don't know what national standards expenses is, and you're listening to this video, don't even submit your offer and company compromise. File a company. Find a company. This flu has been rough. Find a company who can do your offer because you don't have a chance of getting it. Let me explain to you what this means. And here's me drinking a smoothie. IRS limits you into your expenses. They limit your expenses for food and clothing, housing and utilities, car payments, and operation of cars. You don't get to put what you want. IRS has a standard that they're going to use limiting your expenses. So if you don't know about that, look at my past videos. But it's important to know that IRS 90% of the time is not going to give you the expenses that you want, and therefore your offer goes right back in the tubes and you got to start all over. If it's small dollar offer, file it yourself if you don't have a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with it. If it does get rejected and you need to file another one, you've extended the statute by a year plus the time it's in offer status. If it's a large case, you have nothing. No way you should be filing that offer and compromise by yourself. It's given to a graded revenue officer. They're going to look a lot deeper at it, and it just requires a special handling. I'm just being really honest with you. Anyway, give me a subscription if you would. You can leave me a comment. I hope I've given you a real material. Once again, understand that national standards if you're going to fill an offer out. There's a lot to them. Remember, when you do fill an offer out, you extend your statute a year plus. That's why you want to make sure it's really solid. You got all my contact information below. It's all over. Thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate you hitting the subscription box because YouTube values us having subscriptions, and that's why everybody wants subscriptions, in case you never knew. Thank you very much for listening.